What is the We Honor Veterans program is a good question because it's hard to explain, but there's a connection that veterans have with other veterans. And it's a way for us to identify those people who are veterans that may be a client, patient, or even their family, to identify them as a veteran so that we can individualize our care for their needs and to help them in their journey at end of life. The biggest thing that I like to let families know about, though, is the actual death benefit that veterans have. Any veteran who has any type of discharge other than a dishonorable is entitled to be buried in a national cemetery. The government will pay for their headstone. They'll also have a small monetary reimbursement depending on the type of service. The family's entitled to a burial flag. They're entitled to have the gun salute at the funeral and all of those benefits that sometimes we forget about, but I think it's important to help us remember. And so in our recognition program, what we do is we like to, present them with a certificate with their name. It's based on the branch of service that they were in. But this is part of, again, the recognition. And along with that, we like to give them a pin, and thus the name pinning ceremony. I use various ones throughout the years, but I find for me the best time to do a pinning ceremony sometimes is on Veterans Day. My personal connection with the program and one of the reasons that I find it so important is I am a Navy veteran myself, having retired from the Navy. And I know how important what they've done is, but to hear their story, and sometimes they're excited to share with another veteran. So part of this program allows me as a veteran to go out and be that veteran to veteran person. They don't have to talk to me as a chaplain, but as a veteran. And so I can understand some of their terminology, what they've been through. And it's history and it's a connection, and that's my personal thing as being a Navy veteran that I see as the connection with this program. I would like to share a brief story about a gentleman. His name is Robert. He was actually the spouse of our patient who came on service, and he was a Navy veteran. And he didn't really share his story too much. And I asked his daughter if I could have permission just to talk to him about it. He had his shadow box of everything that he did in the Navy, but we sat out on his porch and he told me two important stories. The first was the invasion of D-Day, when his ship was sunk, and he had to listen to the men in that ship crying for help as that ship was sinking. He really struggled to share that story. The second story that he shared with me was about a year later. He was in the Battle of Okinawa on another small ship manning a gun when a kamikaze pilot flew into his gun turret and threw him into the water where he thought he had died. He told me his words, "I went to heaven, but they rejected me." And so I sort of reassured him that it wasn't a rejection, but he still had some things to do. Long story short, here was a young man who was sent off to serve our country. And two Purple Hearts later, he was still here. But the key and the moral of the story is before I even got back to my office, I got a call from his daughter. And she said, "Keith, I don't know what you did, but my dad is talking to me now."